What if I told you the way we currently buy and sell land is exactly why so many people can't afford a home? Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to dive in and discover how we can completely change the way land is owned, developed, and protected in Africa. We are looking at a system that takes land completely out of the volatile speculative market and actually secures it for the people who live and work on it.
Here's what we're going to cover in this Explainer today. The African land problem, the CLT paradigm shift, popping the legal hood, following the money, navigating real risks, and finally, building the future together. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The African land problem. And honestly, why the old way of doing things is just fundamentally broken. Okay, let's start with a really painful reality that I'm sure many of you already know all too well. Across the continent, rapid urban expansion is just creating an absolute crisis. Picture this. You've got a family, right? They've been living in a neighborhood or working a plot of land for literally 30 years. And then, out of nowhere, luxury developers swoop in. Speculators drive up the prices, and boom, that family is completely priced out overnight. Why does this happen? Well, customary land ownership often operates outside formal title systems. Those handshake agreements made generations ago, they aren't always down on paper. Because of these incomplete records and common land disputes, communities are easily pushed out of their ancestral homes, and affordable housing becomes incredibly scarce.
And honestly, the contrast here is just stark. The traditional real estate model is a broken system that ultimately displaces people. Think about it. Wealth concentrates in the hands of a very small group of investors at the top, leaving everybody else behind. But the Community Land Trust model, or CLT, entirely flips the script. Instead of speculation and displacement, it creates a permanent trust. It actually protects the land so that the wealth created stays exactly where it belongs, right there within the community, generating value for generations to come.
Moving on to Section 2, the CLT paradigm shift. Let's look at this new foundation.
So, what exactly is this paradigm-shifting solution? A community land trust is way more than just a real estate venture. It is a model for building a lasting institution. Think of the land itself as a permanent puzzle board owned and protected by the community. The houses, the farms, or the businesses, those are the individual puzzle pieces you actually get to build and own on top of it. The trust acts as this permanent guardian. It ensures the board, the land, is protected forever, while giving people the immediate right to build schools, farms, and housing projects to thrive right now.
And what makes this structure actually work is the diverse ecosystem of people backing it. You have the primary users, the everyday families and farmers who get the affordable housing and productive land they desperately need. But they are absolutely not doing it alone. Institutional partners like governments and NGOs offer critical support, while capital providers fuel the whole financial engine. We're talking about members of the diaspora looking to invest back home, or impact funds, investors who care about doing social good just as much as they care about making a profit. It is a true win-win ecosystem.
All right, Section 3. We're popping the legal hood to see exactly how this complex engine actually runs.
Setting this up requires a structurally sound, multi-layer legal approach. Think of it just like a car engine. If you throw a wrench into one moving part, you definitely don't want the whole car to explode. That is exactly why these legal layers stack together. To safely separate the permanent land from the potentially risky day-to-day business of building and operating. You simply do not want your community's permanent land mixed up with the financial risks of a brand new commercial development.
Let's break this legal jargon down completely. The trust itself is your permanent shield. Its one and only job is to own and protect the land forever. Then you have the holdco, or holding company. Think of the holdco as the master control room that safely manages the operating businesses and technology systems. Below that, you've got development SPVs, or special purpose vehicles. Now, an SPV is basically a temporary separate bucket created just for one specific building project. Meaning, if one housing project fails, the bucket contains the mess and it doesn't drag down the entire community's land. And finally, there's usually an optional cooperative layer, ensuring community members can directly participate in governance and share the benefits.
Navigating this engine, especially in a unique context like Nigeria, means engaging with some heavy-hitting regulatory bodies. You are dealing with the Corporate Affairs Commission to get legally registered. You have to square away strict tax compliance through the FIRS, you're coordinating with state land registries, and, perhaps most importantly, securing the literal governor's consent to legitimize the land use. I know, it sounds like a massive maze of red tape, but going through this rigorous process is exactly what makes the trust completely legally bulletproof.
Section 4. Following the money. Because let's be real, turning this vision into reality requires real investment.
Now, it is absolutely vital to understand that this model is not about flipping land for a quick buck. Acquiring land and building infrastructure takes real, substantial investment up front. But once you clear that initial hurdle, the goal shifts. It becomes entirely about creating predictable, long-term cash flow, which makes the financial health of the trust incredibly robust.
So how does it actually make money? Primarily through ground leases, housing development fees, agricultural leases, and commercial retail sites. Picture a local health clinic or a retail shop paying a steady, affordable monthly lease to be on this land. That rent doesn't go to some offshore billionaire. It goes right back into the trust to pave local roads, fund infrastructure partnerships, or build more houses. Because the trust owns the land permanently, these leases create a reliable, recurring revenue stream that continually enriches the community year after year.
Section 5. Real Risks and Roadblocks. It is time to be honest and navigate the potholes.
Look, no journey is without its bumps, and there are serious structural barriers here. Because land is highly political and customary records are often weak, you might face complex land title disputes or sudden political interference. Then there's the high upfront capital needed. And let's definitely not forget currency risks on materials. What does that mean? Well, if you're raising money in local currency, but you have to buy imported steel and cement priced in US dollars, a sudden currency drop can literally double your building costs overnight. It is a very real pothole you have to plan for.
But perhaps the most fatal risk comes from within. If you allow corruption to creep in, a situation known as elite capture, where a few powerful individuals hijack the project for their own gain, you lose the community's trust. And once that trust is gone, the whole engine completely falls apart. You can have the best legal structure in the world, but without transparent, professional, and independent governance, a community land trust simply cannot survive. Which brings us to our final section, Section 6, Building the Future Together and Leaving a Permanent Legacy. When investors or founders look at a project, they almost always ask, okay, what's the exit strategy? In a world totally obsessed with fast tech startups and quick payouts, what's the exit strategy here? 0. That is the exact number of IPOs or startup-style exits a CLT plans for. While a specific side business might be acquired, the core trust itself is an immovable anchor. It is never meant to be sold. This model is designed for permanence, not a quick flip. We are basically talking about planting a tree today so that your grandchildren can sit in the shade. It's a generational play, a long-term dividend business, ensuring your community will always have a secure place to live, farm, and thrive, sustaining itself infinitely. So, I want to leave you with this provocative question. Are you going to keep playing by the rules of a broken real estate system that eventually prices your own people out? Or are you ready to build an unbreakable, permanent legacy? The blueprint is right here. The tools are available, the model is globally proven, and it is structurally sound for Africa. If you are an investor, a community leader, or part of the diaspora eager to actually make a difference, don't just think about this. Reach out. Let's start the conversation, partner up, and build a foundation that will outlast us all. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.